let's start with LSU and Florida. And this is a series that has taken place every year since 1971. LSU's permanent opponent from the East. One time Kentucky was as well, and that's since rolled off. But LSU plays Florida every single year. You played in the rivalry. You've been in the building, and you understand what this game means. Do you like the fact that LSU plays Florida every single year from the SEC East?
No, I do not like that.
Okay, that shocks me.
From a competitive standpoint, yes, I love it. But from a fan perspective, why can't we draw Vandy? Why can't we draw
Jeremy,
South Carolina?
This is why this show is going to work. That's what I'm talking about. That is a rational, sensible answer. Yes, we should play Vandy. Guess who's competing? They're not going to get it, but guess who's competing to win the SEC West this year? Ole Miss. Guess who they play every year? Vanderbilt. That is crap. It just is. It just is. And, you got Hester, who will look at me and he'll say, no, we got to play Florida. And then you got your fans who say, you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. No. If you want to be the champion, I'd rather play Oklahoma State and beat them by 40 than have to play Alabama again. I'd rather open the door than try to run through it while it's still locked. That's a brilliant answer that I never hear from players.
I think you could start probably with who Bama draws every year. Who would you say? Tennessee? So we got to deal with Florida, who's they were a powerhouse of the late 2000s and coming into the 2010s, and obviously a ton of guys in the NFL year in and year out. Yes, I love the rivalry. Yes, I wouldn't mind playing Florida every couple of years, but every year it's just a tough draw. It's going to take a lot out of you. That's going to be a physical game. You're going to have to get up for that game. It takes a lot of emotions to get up for Florida. So, yeah, I love the rivalry, but just not every year.
That shocks me. And I think that we're in the minority. I think that LSU fans prefer this game. They want to see the rivalry. They don't care that there's a potential loss there. I guess that's what makes it fun to some people is the intensity and the big game atmosphere, and that's all well and good. I've long stated my entire time on the air, my only concern and my only interest is that LSU wins championships. And if that means that we're playing Vanderbilt and South Carolina and Rice and Tulane and we get to play in the playoff every year, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
If it means we're losing to Florida because the SEC makes us play it because Alabama and Tennessee are attached to the hip and Georgia and Auburn are doing their thing, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't want that to be the case. Now, it looks like that's all going to be thrown in the trash can when you expand the conference by 2 teams, but not my favorite. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Yeah, I can't wait till you get a little Texas, a little OU, a little Big 12 defense in the SEC. I'm sure they're just going to have the time of their lives as you see these offenses. Everyone's gearing up to have high-powered offenses. All these quarterbacks are playing 7-on-7 since the age of 10. So that's where the SEC is going. So I'm excited to get a final change-up, to get some new blood, some fresh blood in here to beat up like A&M's been doing for the past decade almost. So I'm excited, man, to get Florida finally kind of off the schedule for every season.
The vast majority of our preseason questions have been answered negatively. We were curious about the offensive line, didn't go so hot. Curious about safety play. Well, they've been injured a lot, and they've given up some big plays, especially against UCLA. Not great. Questions about first-year coordinators. Well, hit or miss here or there. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. At this point, you've lost 3 games. Iffy. Questions about what is John Emery is he going to be able to play? No, he hasn't been able to play. You got injury bugs. But one question that we did have throughout the offseason was the play of the linebackers. And I certainly am not going to stand here after UCLA ran for $1 million and Kentucky ran for over 300 that the linebackers have been brilliant. I'm not trying to say that. But Damone Clark, in terms of leadership, effort, intensity, and production on the field, has answered that question with a positive. He had 14 tackles against Kentucky. He leads the conference in tackles. He's second in the nation in tackles and has done so while leading the team, while wearing number 18. There's been a lot of negativity, a lot of it by me over the last week. I mean, I Tuesday led the whole show with they don't have anything here that they can hang their hat on. But I do think there are times where we should sprinkle in some positives. To me, Damone Clark's been a positive.
Yeah, and that's something I think we also asked after that UCLA game. Who would be the leader on defense? Who would be the guy to kind of get this group turned back around? And that was Damone. You saw his play pick up ever since that game, just week in and week out, continue to make tackles, continue to run sideline to sideline and make plays. And last week, man, the defensive line fought hard to start with, but they just start getting pushed back. And when you got 300-pound linemen, SEC linemen who lift bench press all summer long on these 200-pound linebackers, it's just not going to be good, man. You got to get a little more push from the D-line. So I think I want to be harder on the linebackers in the run game, but man, the D-line just got to have a little more push. But Damone played extremely well. He's got to do that week in and week out. I know I'm not worried about that part of this defense. I know he's going to bring his lunch belt and come ready to work. So that's the one bright spot I guess we can look at with this defense.
You know that Ed Ogeron, based on what he says and what his track record is, what he will do, he will continue to get up, to work as hard as he can, and bring energy every single day. That's just the way he's wired. Love him, dislike him, whatever. That's the way he's wired, and he's going to do that. And I expect the rest of the coaching staff, specifically the coordinators who are in their first chance to really make a name for themselves, to put in the work, to put in the hours, to commit, even though the season has not gone the way it is. The people you worry about are the players. Sometimes people checking out. That's something that it's a concern. But you've got to have some people in that locker room that care and that fight and that want to be out there and want to make this thing go. And I think last year you saw a lot of that from Jacoby Stevens, and then some of the younger players late in the season who brought the energy and were there so that LSU could win a couple of games late. I don't have to really question at all whether or not you're going to get any of that on the defense, because Damone Clark's going to bring it.
Yeah, he definitely will. And I think Coach O mentioned it yesterday. These games, these moments, you only get one Florida game to look back on, especially for some of these seniors, especially from some of these guys who are injured, and some of these guys who probably are, that's their last year and they're going to go to the NFL. This is what you remember forever. I can never get the taste out of losing to Ole Miss out of my mouth. It just stinks. We went up there and got our butts kicked, and it never goes away. They can always have those bragging rights, and that lasts a lifetime. So you still have a chance to make a mark. You still have a chance to have some respect. We saw this team do the very thing last year when no one expected them to win. They were 28-point underdogs and found a way to win that game. So there's still a ton to play for, and respect is something that we're losing by the day. So you got to go out there and get your respect back.
If you're looking for juice from LSU on Saturday morning, usually you go to the home crowd for that, and I think that may be a bit of a stretch at this point. But there's a chance that Florida brings a little bit of that with them because of what happened last year, and that may light a fire. In this rivalry, we've seen the chippiness. Talked a lot last night about Leonard Fournette and him getting into it with the Florida team and then putting the pads on in 16 when he wasn't supposed to play and trying to get out there and do it. Maybe something pregame, something early in the game lights a fire under LSU from the opposing sideline. Is there a chance of that?
Yeah, there's always a chance of that, especially when Florida comes into town. It's bad blood. It's always going to be bad blood. You just don't like those dudes. It's a physical game. You know you're going to get something taken out of you after that week. And I would not be shocked at all. I just hope the Tiger fans come out. I know the student section is going to come out. They're going to make a lot of noise, and hopefully that can propel us to start fast. I think that's going to be huge in this game. Try to get some points on the board so Florida just can't control the time of possession and just run the clock out.
Do rivalries like this bleed over to the NFL? I mean, I think it's playful when you're on the same team, but maybe if a guy's on the other team that you played with and there's just a little bit of extra, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be you, but have you seen a situation where that's the case?
Not that I can remember.
Yeah.
Normally everyone's pretty business oriented. There's a million cameras always on and on around. So unless there's some true bad blood, which I can't really remember off the top of my head, guys are normally keeping it pretty cool.
I mean, like Hester always talks about how he ran Major right over in the 07 game on one of those plays, plowed him over, and that they locked up in the NFL a few times, and it was a laughing type of deal, like, oh, you got me back there, but I'm coming, that kind of thing. I mean, there's very rarely in the game does the significant bad blood boil over. I think it can be created at the professional level.
Yeah. You
can see some of that, but it doesn't necessarily go from Saturday to Sunday as you move up.
Yeah, definitely. No, there's definitely NFL team bad blood for sure. We could not stand the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every time they came to town, we knew it's going to be some jaw jacking, some guys talking, some late stuff after the whistle. You just prepare for stuff like that in those situations. So those kind of situations happen at the next level. But I don't know how much of it comes from the college game.